Hi! Today's card is super simple and super quick and nice and bright and cheery. I am going to use the photopolymer stamp set Amazing Life from the Stampin' Up! Occasion 2019 catalog. So here it is. It's got some really sweet images. It's got this little cake. It's got fun sayings. Life's too short to say no to cake. You are amazing. Which I did use this in the floral kind of fancy card that I did a couple of weeks ago. Oh, actually it's laying right here. Let me see if I can pull it out from my stack without knocking everything over. Here we go. It's in this one. And that was the one that I put on the inside, which it's stuck because sometimes I stick sticky on my cards when I take pictures. But it says you are amazing. So even though this stamp set looks kind of fun, some of the images in it actually go with these die cuts. So I just pulled that little you are amazing. I like the double fonts. It's a fun stamp set. It's got this little line here that I did have on my card today. I ended up taking it off because it didn't match my paper so well. Really like the good luck with this little shamrock. It will be making an appearance in getting closer to March, because to me that has some fun things that we can do for St. Patrick's Day. But for today I'm going to use the main focal image in it, the So Happy to Have You in My Life. I really like that stamp set. So here is the card. I'm going to use elements of the Happiness Blooms suite from the catalog. I'm not going to use the stamps though. I do love them and I will be using them. I've used this a couple of days ago on the frog card, the little dot to dot. So if you haven't checked that out, it's with the foil paper, super, super cute. I've used the ribbon, but today I'm gonna use the paper and the little punches. So it's the Happiness Blooms Designer Series paper and the Bitty Blooms punch set, which you get 4 of them in these tiny little punches. I'm gonna use 2 of them today. So let's get started on the card. Here's the piece of paper that I'm going to use. As I said, it's bright and cheery. So when your world is kind of gloomy and gray, we're going to get snow, so it'll brighten back up. But you know, if you live someplace where it snows when you're past the snow and it's melty snow, it's not pretty anymore. So that's what we are. But imagine this with that little shamrock in St. Patrick's getting close to March. I know you can see it with me. So I'm going to use this. I get a lot of questions about how to design cards, and a lot of you say that, you know, it's easier to just copy. Well, here's the tip for you. If you don't have a lot of time to design, or you're just kind of getting started, then get a pack of the paper and let the paper do the color choosing for you. So with this, it's Night of Navy and Call Me Clover. So the color choices were made for me. So this one's kind of a more obvious pack of colors. Let me show you again the colors that come in this paper. So they're kind of bright. If you don't have a lot of supplies already, then pick a pack of paper and get some of the colors of ink that go in that paper, and then you're set. Then you don't have to worry about things matching. So with this card, Night of Navy, Call Me Clover. And if you think of navy and one of the more Kelly greens, it doesn't necessarily look bright and cheery, but you add those daisies to it and you're going to see our cards nice and cheery. So then I've also just got the Whisper White, which happens to be the 3rd color. And these are photopolymer, so nice and no learning technique with the photopolymer. I've got the Call Me Clover, which is the only stamp pad that I'm going to use on the card. I'm just going to ink it up. This is like the 4th time I've made this card. If you caught my Facebook Live this week, this was the card I did on Facebook Live. But you know, on Facebook Live, I'm always talking to people and on comments and trying to make sure that, you know, my Wi-Fi is staying up and all that good stuff. It's a little distracting. So I like to redo the card over here. So it's just me and my card. Sometimes my cats, but I think they're both asleep right now. So because this is a bigger stamp, you can make sure that you've pressed everywhere. That's the nice thing about the photopolymer, is that you can see if you're stamping everywhere. Then I have another tip for you. Sometimes you might get on these large images, especially when you have white paper and a bright ink like that, you may notice splatters. I've had people ask me why it looks like they've splattered. So if you just rip this off and there's extra ink, it may splatter, which I could do a splatter one for you. It could be a technique. If you just pull it off slowly, like that, then it doesn't splatter. So you can see that's a nice crisp image. If you rip it off and there's a little ink, then sometimes it just splatters. It also helps, you can see I just left mine on a second longer, then the ink has a minute to dry. So it doesn't splatter everywhere. Because you want this to be nice and crisp. So for my card, this one, because I've made the card so many times, I was using just some pre-cut Night of Navy. This is cut different than a lot of you cut your cardstocks, but you can, when you cut for cards, this is 11 by 4 1/4. So I'm just going to fold it this direction, and it just opens differently than a card that you cut the other direction. When I show you my card at the end, that I've made 3 times now, this will be the 4th one I have of it. The other one's open the other way, but I'm just using up some cardstock that I've already cut. And it just opens up and down instead of the normal way. So I'm going to take my blends. You could use Stampin' Write markers if you have those. With the blends, it can smear on just regular ink, so you don't want to like color forever. Like you're not going to blend, but I'm just going to color in. So this is the Call Me Clover. I have the light and dark, and then I have the dark Night of Navy. Another thing that's good to use these for, which because I got a pretty good image on this one, I don't have to. But sometimes like if you miss a little spot and you have the blend, you can just kind of like cover that back up. Like right here, it's not quite as dark as everywhere else. So you can just kind of fix it with your brush tip, which is kind of nice. Or if you have, like if you miss a little spot, especially if you have the black blend, you can take that either tip and you can just kind of fix some of your stamping, which is nice. So for this, I'm just going to fill in this tiny little part of my banner here. You can use the Stampin' Write markers. The advantage to the blends is if you don't have a lot of stuff, you can buy these in just the color. The blends you have to buy by color family, so you have to buy all of them. So these would be in 2 different color families. And then with this light one, I'm just going to take my brush tip. And again, you don't want to smear the writing, so I'm just going to go over it. But these also have a, well, it has a light version. There's no light. Call Me Clover, so you'd have to come up with another color to color in this. And they do bleed a little bit more. So the blend is just an easier option. You could, the first time I made the card, I left the banner white. So if you were doing it with your Stampin' Write markers, just don't color the inside of this banner. So you see, you can do that. I already have one colored, so I'm not going to finish this whole thing. And then I have my dark Night of Navy. And a tip for this is to just take your brush tip and kind of lay it in there and just draw down the line. On the side, like I'm right-handed, so I'm doing it first on the right-hand side. And then flip it over. And do it again. And if you do this with the Stampin' Write markers where it overlaps, you'll see, like, you know, when you color with markers, they just the overlap is darker. With the blends, the color blends together, so you don't have that overlap. So see, I just drew down those and then kind of fill in the middle. And it's a real quick way to color those in. It's kind of like frosting cookies if you do sugar cookies. I'll show you this one, but then I have one that I have finished all the way. Just because there's no special technique other than kind of just filling those in with your brush tips. So I didn't want you to sit there and watch me color. So then I'm going to take my scalloped ovals. I tried to use the rectangles because they're new and they're in the catalog, but sometimes just because it's new doesn't mean it's the best design. And this, with the daisies, I just like the scalloped and the oval. It just looked more spring and feminine to me. I'm gonna close my stamp pad and get it out of the way. Move my Big Shot over here. And this is a real simple cut because anytime that you're cutting and you just have an outline, those are easy. So there's no secret to that. So So I'm gonna have I have a piece of Call Me Clover for my larger one, and then for this, I'm just gonna lay my scallop on here. And then you just need to run these through one time. Because anytime they're just a cut out, one time on your big shot should be plenty. Pop those out. And I do need to save my scrap paper because, you know, there's plenty on here to get our little flowers with my tiny little punches. So the punch comes because it's designed to go with the paper. They do have little flowers that match the paper. So I'm going to get one from each corner. You could actually get more if you wanted more, but 4 is enough. There we go. You have to be careful when you're punching upside down, which I'm doing it so I can see that I'm hitting it, that you don't slide this in at the same time that you're punching, which I did there. Sometimes if your punches get stuck, that's what you're doing, is you're actually pushing on that a little bit. And on these little ones, it's even easier because they're easier to shut. So I've got 4 little daisies. And then this has, like, I think it could be a leaf, and then it's just a circle, which for me, it's going to be the center of my flower, but I don't need the leaves. I just want the centers. So I don't even need to push it in all the way. And if you hold your finger right up here, then it keeps them from doing the, you know, the punch doing where your punches fly across the room. So then I have those 4. And then I'm just going to take the back of my fuse or your snail and just kind of lay your little guy on there. And it picks up just enough adhesive that you can stick those on. And they're whimsical, so they don't have to be perfect. They're perfect on the paper, but the ones that we're adding are whimsy. They're not going to be perfect. If you have take your pick tool, which I've done a little bit of stamping, and then my daughter came over and stamped, so my table's kind of messed up. I'm not sure where I moved my I see the tool, but I don't have the little sticky end. If you have the sticky end, you could also pick these up with that. So I've got those. And take my card, and I cut this. You can cut it 4 by 5 1/4, and it would leave you a small border. But I found this paper is a little bit overwhelming, so the first time I cut it, it went right to the edge of the navy, and it was almost too much. So I wanted to have a little bit bigger border of navy. So then I took it back over to my paper trimmer, and I trimmed it just a fraction more, just to have a little bit more navy, to kind of tone it down just a fraction. So I'm going to take my Call Me Clover. And then my very favorite ribbon, which when they finally get rid of this ribbon, will make me very sad. And I'm going to tie it around my oval. And it's always better to have a little bit too much here and trim it than not have enough. So go ahead and waste a 1/4 inch of ribbon now than some heartache trying to tie it. And this ribbon's just so pretty to have a big floppy ribbon. So just give yourself generous portions. And then just order some every time you put in an order. That's what I do. And if you don't know, because I find some people don't know, it comes in white and vanilla. So you need both colors. Some people only think it comes in white, but it's in vanilla as well. So I'm just going to tie this around my oval. And then on my card, I want my bow to go, the oval's going to go long ways like this, but I want my bow to go long ways across the card. So I'm going to hold my card my bow this way. So I can tie my bow this way. And I like to do double bows with this, but the ribbon that I'm using to do double on this, I tried to do at the same time, and it doesn't work. Well, this isn't working either because I'm trying to talk at the same time. So I'm gonna be quiet just for a second while I tie my bow. There we go. I would think that I could do two things at once. See, and I'm gonna have to trim just a little bit, but that, you're not wasting a whole lot. And your bow looks prettier than if it had been this tiny little bit and then I had to trim that. So for my second ribbon, I'm going to use the leaf ribbon, which is also on the frog card that has the dot-to-dot folder. And I tried to double tie it, but these get all stuck, and then it was also getting stuck on the tool. So we're just going to add a tiny bit to it. And even now, it still gets stuck this way, but not quite as stuck as it gets the other way. Because all these leaves just stick to everything. See, that's sticking to my paper over there. They just grab. So kind of hold hold the ribbon far apart so your opening's nice and wide so you can pull that through. And then kind of don't pull it tight until you see that all your leaves are pulled around. And then just kind of play with it till you get it how you like it. And then I'm going to take my dimensionals, which I know, here they are. I think I laid them here. Get all this stuff out of the way. Just going to lay this over the top, and then you can kind of put your ribbons where you want them to be. And then we just got to stick this all together with our little flowers. And on this card, I had this so it's not quite, I didn't like it in the center. I like it, again, a little offset just for a little bit of whimsy. Makes it look not quite so serious. These are maybe a tad long. And when you trim these, you can save these. You can put them in a shaker card. They cut right off the end. To where they are. I still think that's a tad too long up there, so get rid of one more leaf. And then I'm just going to add these. On my other card, I've added them over here, but then after I looked at it, I thought, I wonder what they would look like added over here. So 3 of them I have added to the card, and then I have one raised up. Oops. I'm going to put one on a dimensional, which you could use one of your mini dimensionals, but you can tell that dimensional thing is about to the end. And I like to use it right up to the edge so you can trim the edge when it gets down to this straight part. So that one then has a bit of height to bring it kind of up to the same height as the other ones. I don't think it really matters where you put them. They're cute wherever they go. So there you go. There's this one, and here they are. I could show you this cart a zillion times because I just literally have it laying everywhere. So here's it mounted the other way. This one is colored. I colored it twice over the top, the happy, because you know the blends get darker with a second coat. So I do like the happy maybe with one more coat. I just colored this one right before I started filming. So you can take your blend and go back over it once more if you'd like your happy to be a little bit darker. But super simple. You can see my flowers on this one are on the other side. The ribbons may be a little bit longer because I like lots of ribbon. so you can tie it lots of ribbon. But that's a super simple card, so I hope you like that. If you are watching this and it's the weekend that I posted the video, I have some fun specials. I always have weekend specials, or most of the time. It depends on how busy my week's been, but I try to get weekend specials up. So there are some good weekend specials. So run over at my website is stampinonline.com, so you can find the specials there. So have a great day and get some stamping done. Bye.